Good evening, everybody. Welcome into Dollars to Deuces, episode number 50. We made it.
Yes, I was thinking the same thing.
Hell yeah. This is a Toilets to Titles production. This is talking about Divisional playoff round. We'll do some recapping of the wildcard weekend, talking spreads and player props, and anything else we think of about our solid teams, So, as always, tonight joined by the Frito Bandito himself. You can find him on Twitter at FritoBandito_FF. What's up, bud? How you doing, Rich?
Frito Bandito, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, man, divisional rounds, freaking wild card weekend, man. I'm telling you, you thought was going one direction and flip flop the other. I don't know if you guys saw. There's a video out there of a Jaguars fan, or not Jaguars, a Chargers fan. He fell asleep at the first half and didn't wake up. I think his wife woke him up at the end, and he looked at the score, saw the score, and he was like, "The hell."
Coach
I saw that.
Brandon Staley.
I saw that.
Oh, shit. And as well, joined by Abe at MVinFF on Twitter. What's up, bud?
Not too much. Just happy to be here. Last weekend, like Rich said, was awesome, and looking forward to divisional round this weekend. So it's narrowing down. So the end of the year is near, but this is when it really heats up. So this is an exciting time.
Yeah, hell yeah, it is. And you can find myself on Twitter at Nate_Dirt19. You can find the show on Twitter at Toilets Titles. Please give us a follow if you would. How'd you guys do in the playoff league, by the way?
I am, I think, sitting like in the top 12. So I might be in the top 10.
I think you're around 10, Rich.
Yeah, somewhere around there. I was hanging around top 5 for a little bit and stuff like that. And then that dang Cowboys game started shifting a few players up above me. But yeah, I mean, had a solid week performance.
I am near the bottom again this year. So
hey,
it ain't where you start. It ain't where you start, Abe.
That's where I started last year. So I'm like, hey, this isn't so bad. So yeah, I'm near the bottom, but
you got us just where you want us, right?
Yeah. Yep. If I can just remember if that's how I did it last year.
I'm 9 points behind you, Abe. I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guys that work that are in it were like, well, why are you so far down there? I'm like, there's fucking 3 weeks left. Don't worry. Don't worry about me.
Yeah.
Well, there was one point. There's one point of the weekend I looked up there, and you were like in the top 5. I'm like, damn, it's going to start out solid this week and stuff like that. And next thing I know, I'm like, where'd he go?
Where'd he
go? Like the Chargers, like the Chargers game.
There you go. Good analogy. Good analogy.
Oh hell! No, I don't know. I got. I think I only have a couple players that their teams didn't lose. I started Trevor Lawrence, and that was a disaster. And then it ended up not so terrible.
He still ended up with 30-plus points, did he not?
Yeah. Justin Jefferson didn't do shit. CeeDee Lamb didn't do shit. Tyler Lockett didn't do shit. So that kind of hurt all three of those guys that, I think they combined for like 30 points for the three of them. Dalvin Cook didn't do anything. And Kenneth Walker didn't do anything either. And my defense guys didn't do anything. And Justin Tucker, I don't even know if he got on the field. So,
yeah, my kicker, I had a Dicker the kicker, and he was a good pickup last week for me. So he scored he hits like 18 points or something like that. So I'll take the points.
I think you should lose more points if it's a game winner and you miss it.
Or if you miss like 4 extra points.
Interesting strategy for next year's leagues if whoever's watching think about it.
Yeah. We'll talk about the kicking situation for the Cowboys when we get to the game, because I have a couple of things I want to see what you guys think about that. It was a wild weekend. It was fun. Let me get through some other stuff real quick, and then we'll
get
into it a little more. So as always, you can check us out on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, Twitch, Facebook. I think I got them all. Pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts, you will find our shows. All of them. There's a pile of them. So check them out. If you're listening to us on Apple, please give us a 5-star review. We would greatly appreciate that. If you're on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button. Hit that little bell to notify you when we go live. New show premiered tonight. I don't know, an hour, 2 hours before us.
Yep.
On the Clock is what it is. It's with Coach and Nino. And then that KT, I think. And then Matt Waldman was on there tonight talking running back prospects. I don't know. I think John Laub's coming on, and Shane Hallam will in the next 2-3 weeks or whatever.
Correct.
I'm talking. It's just a draft show, but it will be pretty awesome. So stay tuned, check that out. We're not going to quit. I was going to ask you guys off air, but I'll just say it on air. But we're probably going to have to do a couple shows for the XFL and USFL, right?
I'm interested. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's football, so
Yeah.
we'll keep on keeping on. When that comes, I think the XFL starts the end of February or March, because I know the Battlehawks home opener is March 12th at 4:30 in St. Louis. Abe.
Wow. All right.
But I probably can't go because we're having a kid like that next week, so probably gonna miss that one.
That's a very important thing.
Yeah, the USFL is like April or May, I think it starts. So I think they're only like 8-game seasons and then like 2 playoff games, but at least it's football. So it's kind of weird that they stacked them up like they did. I thought they would kind of spread it out a little more, but
see, I thought one started like 2 weeks after the NFL.
That's the XFL. I guess it is. It is. Yeah, it's in end of February then. Because the Battlehawks play on the road 2 games before they come home and play.
That makes sense, man.
Yeah. But, so we'll keep doing that. ToadStyles.com, all the videos, articles, all the content's out there. Still turning out articles and everything. And there'll be more, with the draft coming up going forward as well. And then our Patreon, patreon.com/ToadsTitles. Check that out. If you are a member, we really appreciate you guys helping us, keep the lights on. Like I said, we couldn't do what we do without you guys.
Very true.
I know we've kind of all been talking about some other things to try to add for the Patreons. Rich said he wants to have a league where it's like a vampire league with him, and he doesn't get to draft any players, and you guys have to beat him.
Yeah, I was kind of wanting to do something where like I'll be my team, and then I'll have a team like from the Patreons. And the way it works is you pick 4 players: a quarterback, running back, receiver, and tight end. And I think you could do a flex. So we'll do a flex. But like week 1, the players you pick, you can't pick for the rest of the season. So you have to burn through all your players each week and stuff like that. But like I said, if you use Patrick Mahomes the first week, you cannot use them for the rest of the year.
It's kind of like playoff league.
Yeah, to a certain degree. But the Patreons, the way I'll do it with them is each week it'll be a different Patreon, and they'll do the same thing. But like week 1 Patreon member, whoever they pick, that next week, week 2, the people can't pick that player either. So it's kind of just.
They used to do something like that on like Football Diehards or something like that.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Do they do that? They still do it. I haven't listened to it for.
They do.
I used to listen to that show all the time, but I don't. My day doesn't work now to listen to the midday XM shows.
I always hear that because it's like, I think it's on Fridays or Saturdays is when they do that segment, and it's always on when I'm driving home. So,
gotcha.
I always enjoy listening to it.
Oh yeah, it was always fun. Last week we were. I thought I was going to do better, and then, well, the Bills didn't show up. I'm not sure what the hell happened there. That was great. But I was 2-4. Rich was 3-3. Abe was 4-2. I think, what'd you say on your props, Abe? You were like 6-3 or something with the player props.
Yeah. I think what we actually had written down, I think I was 6-3 on my player props. So
nice.
Yeah.
We all had. I think we were all pretty close. Like I said, for player props, all did fairly well. I didn't realize I forgot what I put down for the Bucks game, and I just saw it now, and it makes me laugh. We'll go. So we got a little time. We'll run through them. I said Niners Seahawks. That game started out, and it was everybody's kind of like, "Oh shit, what's going to happen?" Obviously, I just think the Seahawks kind of ran out of gas almost. It seemed like whether and they don't say it on the broadcast, which is, well, it's just how it is. But like them not having Jordan Brooks is huge. It led the team in tackles like that. That guy not being on the field is destroys that defense. They're not a great defense anyways, and not having him out there, he's the leader of the defense. Not having him out there is makes it tough. But Purdy played well. And I don't think Geno didn't play bad. I don't think, they were in the game for a while, I think towards the end or whatever, but like I said, did you guys have anything fun from that game you like?
Yeah. I think in the playoffs, obviously when you're missing a guy, it's amplified so much more than what it is during the regular season. And the other team can scheme against that more than they would the regular season. Regular season, obviously, everyone's obviously trying to go out and win every week, but now it's a win or go home situation. So they're going to go pick on guys that haven't seen the field lately. And so you just kind of see that a little bit more than what you would during the regular season. So I agree with you. Him being gone. I also think, Debo is huge, had 130 some receiving yards or something. They haven't seen him since, I don't even know if they played against him this year.
I don't think they did, because he was hurt for the last like 6 weeks or something, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that, obviously that was a big difference with the combination of Debo coming back and no Jordan Brooks. That was a big difference maker in the game. And I didn't know what to expect with Debo, just because he hasn't been up to full speed. He played in the last game of the season, but he got utilized pretty well in that game. So it was good to see him back at full strength.
Well, the one thing I enjoyed about this game, and it kind of ties in with the Bucks and Cowboys game, and this is the one thing I don't want to say preach, but it's one thing I always believe in is once the Seahawks and the Cowboys got the lead, they didn't go into prevent and kind of throttle back. They kept on going. They kept on scoring and stuff like that, and just to make a dominant presence and everything. It's like, yeah, the first half of that 49ers Seahawks game was a close game. I think the Hawks were leading at the end of the first half, if I'm correct.
17-16 or something.
And but like I said, after the second half, once 49ers got up that second touchdown, it's like they kept on going. They could have easily cut back and stuff like that, but they just kept on driving that ball down the field. Obviously the Cowboys did too, so I love that aspect of it.
That's surprising from a Mike McCarthy-led team.
It sure is.
Yeah. Chargers, Jags, that game, Jesus Christ. How Brandon Staley is not fired yet. They fired Lombardi, and it's not even his fault, to be honest. Like, they had 3 possessions in the second half. They had the ball for maybe 9 minutes in the second half. They were all like 2.5 minutes, 240. Like, none of them went over. Not one possession went over 3 minutes. I don't understand why. Staley in the locker room halftime has to be like, hey, we need I don't know about you guys, but in my head, when I watch a game, like, it doesn't matter if it's Packers or whatever, like, how many points you need to probably win. You know what I mean? Like, especially like halfway through the first half, like, see how things are going. Like, hey, we're going to need to score like 40 points today to probably win this game, or whatever the case may be. And, you got to tell yourself, like, hey, coming out the gate, we need to score. Like, we need to show them that we're in control, because if we don't, it's going to get out of hand. And they just continued to look flat. They don't have I never really noticed as much, because I don't really watch them that often. Live, I guess. Like I said, you watch, his highlights and watch some tape from it or whatever, but, they don't have a power run game. Eckler's not a guy to, he's not A.J. Dillon. He's not Derrick Henry. You're not saying they're the same guy. You know what I mean? No, like, they don't have that power run game. He's a phenomenal running back, but he's not going to wear you down.
Yeah, he's not a closer. Yeah, he's not a closer.
And that hurts.
I think this game is exactly what we were just talking about. The 49ers and Cowboys did is exactly what the Chargers did not do.
Correct.
And like, I think their number was, hey, we scored 27 in the first half. We can coast. We're good to go. Like, we're moving on to the next round. And Eckler didn't touch the ball in the second half. Like, whether he's not a closer that can, sit there and wear a defense down. I understand that, but he's got to touch the ball more. I mean,
exactly. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve. He shouldn't be on the field. He needs to be on the field.
Yeah, exactly. And he wasn't. They, late in the game, even when it was a 1-score game, late in the game, they had Josh Kelly and they're running the ball. Yeah. And I don't, maybe he's their closer. Maybe that's how they think things. But when you're a defense, and you're looking in the backfield and you don't see an Eckler, who can come out of the backfield and bust one for 20, 30 yards, rushing, receiving, whatever it may be, that immediately you can move your defense over and say, hey, you know what, we'll give Josh Kelly his 4 or 5 yards or 3 yards or whatever it is. We know they're probably going to run the ball. That's why he's in this game, is to run the ball. So they were shutting that down. And I think, I don't understand how you fire your offensive coordinator and then Staley keeps his job. It's one of those things, in my opinion. Sorry to bring this up, Rich, but in my opinion, it's similar to sitting Derek Carr when the coach probably had a little bit more to do with it. So I think he's an awful coach.
Fucking terrible. He might be worse than the fuck is.
He's terrible. And I just don't understand they have so many weapons offensively.
The fact that Mike Williams wasn't on the field because you got him hurt in the game before when he shouldn't even have been playing. Like, how do you let him be the coach anymore?
Right. Yeah, I don't get it. And when, then you have people like, Josh Palmer is a good wide receiver. But you're going away from your guys. Like Eckler on the sideline makes zero sense. And I don't care what anyone says. Like if the offensive coordinator is saying, hey, we got to feed Josh Kelly. You're the head coach. You're saying, why is Eckler standing next to me? Like we need this dude on the field. And they went away from all that stuff. They went away from what they're dominant in the first half. And it showed. I mean, I'm glad they lost because if they would have won that game when they didn't deserve to in the second half, we'd be sitting there talking about them right now this week. But they didn't deserve to win. So I'm glad that the Jacksonville actually ended up pulling out the victory.
And the fact that Staley handed Bosa his helmet after he threw it, what a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I was gonna say that when you got a player that acts like that in the game and costs that, it's like the coach, okay, and stuff like that. And it's like, no, yell at him for what he did. I mean, it was freaking crazy in that situation.
I wouldn't have been mad at him for getting the flag. What did he say to that ref to make that ref fucking turn around and be like, holy shit? You know what I mean? Like what did he? I don't know what he said.
Well, I'm wondering if he said what he said in the conference after the game and everything. I can't remember the exact words, but he basically called them out saying refs should not be able to make decisions like that.
That's too long. It wasn't something like that. It was something quick because it was probably because he was pissed off about a hold. It was probably something about holding on his fucking dick or something like that. That was my guess.
Yeah. I mean, here's another thing too. Like Bosa is as much to blame as anyone else. Like you can throw your tantrums, just go do it three more yards on the sideline. You're not going to get flagged for it. Like go do it behind your head coach and throw your helmet and do all this stuff and everything's fine. You do it out there. You're showing me. This is all about me. I'm pissed. I'm getting held. I'm not having the game that I should have. And he had a good game, but he's not. It wasn't Bosa like. But at the same time, he needs to be reprimanded a little bit too. Yeah. Well, that's a different one. But I just think he was as much to blame as Staley was, and not that one penalty was anything, but almost like when that happened, you could tell that the whole tables were shifting, and it was like, here it goes. Like this is reality now. Jacksonville might win this game, and that's what happened. So it was pathetic. It's classic Chargers is what it is. It's classic Staley. It's classic Chargers. And for him to still keep his job is absolutely shocking to me.
Yeah. That's all I gotta say. He's a fucking idiot. Dolphins, Bills. This game was a lot closer than anybody ever expected it to be. Going into this, we all kind of thought the same thing. They didn't have a chance. And then Josh Allen, like he has been all year, not taking care of the football. Their defense, I didn't think played all that well. In my head, I don't know how and this is the thing I've said all year about McDaniel, that why aren't they running the ball more? Why Skylar Thompson should not throw the ball 40 some times, the Dolphins would have beat the Packers if they run the football. Dolphins win a lot more games they run the football, but Mike McDaniel is a shitty head coach. So I don't care what anybody says. He's not a head coach. He's an offensive coordinator. He says in the beginning of the year, he goes, I do the offense. So-and-so, whoever got fired, whatever his name was, he did the defense, and this guy did the special teams. All I do is offense. He's not a good head coach. I don't care what anybody says. I'm done. I never thought he was. He's not. He's an offensive coordinator.
To me, this was all about – it has nothing with the Dolphins having anything the reason why this game was close. It was all about the Bills making this game closer than what it should have been. And I know that's what you were alluding to and stuff like that, because Skylar Thompson didn't do nothing. I mean, the running game, at some points looked decent, but really didn't. I don't know. I felt like this had nothing to do about the Dolphins making it close. It was all about the Bills, what they did in the game. Yeah,
I agree with you, Rich. I mean, the Dolphins played well. Their defense played really well and they were very opportunistic on defense. And the Dolphins just weren't very explosive on offense. They weren't the normal Dolphins we're used to. obviously with Skylar Thompson as your quarterback, it's not going to happen anyways. But to put that kind of points up on the Bills, and Josh Allen turning the ball over like crazy, you got to give credit to the Dolphins. I mean, no one thought that this game would be within 13 points, let alone, was it 3 or something, 2?
Yeah.
30, what was it, 3-point game, 4-point game?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to give credit to the Dolphins. They hung in there. They had some opportunities also, but those opportunities came from their defense. So it was definitely a shocking game. I was not prepared for any of that.
No, not at all. Giants, Vikings. That fucking Hornet now.
Fuck that horn.
Yep.
God, I hate that damn thing.
It made me so happy. So this game, talking about like having the Chargers that had the ball 3 times in the second half. The Giants had 9 possessions in the entire game against the Vikings. And they just, I think I said it last week, like they're going to run, if they play their game, like they have all year that Dayball's coached them to do, like not get out of their comfort zone, not get where they shouldn't be. It's the same thing going into the Eagles this weekend. That's what they're built to do. They're going to run the football. They're not going to make mistakes. They're going to play good enough defense. I just forgot the guy's name. Damn it. The Dexter Lawrence. Is that right? Like that guy. Well, the amount of times him and Thibodeau both got just, and I get it. You get held every play, but like there were some of those plays where it was like, God damn. And then that piss poor roughing the passer call, that when I saw that, I was like, oh, there's fucking that goddamn lucky horseshoe. Like that's all I thought about. And luckily it didn't matter. But, it was, like I said, the Giants played well with guys you don't even know besides Saquon. So,
yeah, I agree. I mean, the Giants, I wish they would have in the second half done what they did in the first half. And that was get Danny Dimes on the outside and make him a double threat where he could run the ball. I mean, he looked awesome running the ball in the first half and even threw the ball really well in the run in the first half. And then the second half, and I'm sitting here pounding him to gain more rushing yards and stuff like that. So I'm a little bitter towards it. And he didn't in the second half, but they did enough to get a W. And then on the Vikings side, I mean, while we're talking about coaching and stuff, you go out the first drive and you get your stud, Justin Jefferson, 4 catches the first drive, and then he ends up with nothing after that. That is some issues also. That's some stuff where you got to sit there and say, I mean, at some point you got to go to the sideline and be like, and I know Justin Jefferson's, he doesn't seem like he's this type of player, but give me the fucking ball. Like even when you're just throw the ball up, the guy's made incredible catch after incredible catch in his career, in his short career. Throw the ball up and see if he can go get it or draw a pass interference call or something, just something to get him involved. And they did none of that in the second half. And that was, in my opinion, the difference maker in that game was the Giants kind of went away from what was successful for them in the first half. And the Vikings didn't capitalize. The
Vikings just kept doing what wasn't working.
They kept doing what wasn't working. You're right. Exactly. and by doing that, you just kind of I'm sure the Giants are sitting there saying, thanks. I mean, they now give them credit. I mean, they shut down Jefferson. He didn't have a lot of room. And some of his routes that he runs take some time and Kirk needs that time to, for him to run that route. But at the same time, you got to say, well, let's run a slant with him and see if he can take one of the house. Let's at least try to get him the damn ball. And they didn't do it.
They probably should have got Dalvin Cook in the passing game. Like those screen passes that he breaks for 60 yards, maybe throw some of those.
Or a couple draws. I mean, just to keep that defense honest with doing the stuff like that with a stud like Dalvin, like they just went away from their studs. And that makes zero sense to me in the playoffs.
Well, the only thing I'm going to say about that is, look, I get what you're saying about Jefferson and Cook, but freaking Hawkinson was demanding that ball.
Yeah,
I mean,
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, he was going. I mean, I regret not using him last week in the our playoffs because now I can't use him at all and everything. And look, to me, that's one reason why Jefferson wasn't involved in because of Hawkinson's presence in the game and stuff like that. Yeah, they could have thrown to him a couple more times, but Hawkinson was a beast out there. Just it's like every time I looked up, he was catching another ball.
Yeah, and Kirk had to get the ball out quick. That's another reason to it. But yeah, I mean, he was awesome.
Part of that, and it's not taking. He is great, But Wink Martindale was saying that guy's not going to beat me. Give him the ball. I don't care.
Yeah.
That's why Justin Jefferson, they had the clamps on him because it was like, you know what? They want to throw it to TJ Hawkinson all day long. That's fine. He's not going to beat us. Justin Jefferson will beat us. And like I said, Wink Martindale's fucking awesome.
No, I get it.
Yeah. Great coach. Great.
You know,
yeah.
like I said, TJ Hawkinson he's a stud. But like there's Adam Thielen still, KJ Osborne, like guys that are good, you know, and that whatever. I mean, I'm not real heartbroken about it. So
no, not at all. I actually love that every second. Yeah. Even though I lost the pick, I'm excited that happened.
Yeah. Ravens Bengals. Same thing. The Bengals Bills we'll talk about later. Those teams are beat the fuck up. Like they are coming in limping. It seems like the Bengals offensive line somehow is worse this year than it was last year. I don't get it. That game, I don't know. It was
never should have been as close as it was.
No, it was a classic AFC North battle. It was one of those that it was just. Right. I mean, these two teams battled out. Burrow's never really played that great against Baltimore, but you got to give Baltimore credit. I mean, they hung with a team where they shouldn't have, you know. But ultimately, the better team won. I mean, which is good. That's a good thing for us. So,
yeah. Cowboys Bucks. I was on the Bucks. I thought Tom was gonna. You know, I'm sorry, Cowboys fans. I thought they'd be one and done. I said I was laughing at the prop side. I said Brady over 42.5 attempts. He had 66 pass attempts, so good for him. His shoulder might hurt till training camp. So, you know, who knows where he's going to go. If Rich is going to have a number 12 Raiders jersey.
I'm going to have a number 12. I don't know if it's Brady or Rodgers.
Ooh.
The one thing that I will say about either one of those guys going, if I don't think Rodgers leaves, if he does, or Brady, like what happens next year? You know what I mean? Like that would make me nervous to give up whatever they're going to want. Brady's obviously a free agent, but like, you know, like what happens next year when he's either retires or whatever, you know, like who's the quarterback going to be?
Well, I mean, if you sit there and think about it,
Grant, if I was going to win a Super Bowl, I give a fuck less who the goddamn quarterback is. So
if they go after Brady, they can still draft a QB with their first pick and everything. I know they're looking at the cat from Florida, the quarterback. I think his last name Johnson. I can't think of his whole name, but he's someone that's a good possibility of dropping to him. Has great mobility, quarterback, and everything. So you get free Brady in free agency. It ain't going to tie up a lot. I don't think he demands a lot with the weapons that he has there and everything. He's going to say, hey, use that money. Give me some offensive player, some offensive line, shore up the defense and everything. But, yeah, I think first overall, I don't know if you guys saw that thing I put in the group chat. Brady's already had a video going into this weekend saying, hey, let's make this happen. Just win, baby. And,
and some of Brady's throws were not, and I've said this kind of all year. It's hard to talk shit about the GOAT, but some of his throws were not good. I mean, and part of that is, I mean, once again, I think it's a little bit of coaching. They should have ran the ball more often. I mean, you get a 45, 46-year-old guy out there and he's throwing 66 attempts. I don't care who you're playing.
Nobody should throw 66 attempts.
No, I don't care who you're playing. It's playoff football. You need to run the ball. And they didn't do that. And I know that Brady's way of running the ball is throwing, you know, quick hitters and stuff like that to people, which gets his attempts up. But at the same time, that just doesn't bode very well for, you know, the Cowboys' weakness is their run game or their run defense, and they didn't exploit that at all. So we'll see.
17 yards.
Brady is for the first time watching that game, I was like, and maybe just because he was tired because it was on the East Coast, it was 10:30 at night. And because he threw 60 balls or something, some of his throws looked tired. His arm looked tired, and they just, you know, Cowboys dominated that game. They definitely deserve to win that one.
Yeah, you gotta sit here and think about it though, man. I mean, the way his off season started out, you knew it was gonna be. I mean, he looked after the divorce with his wife and stuff like that. I remember that first conference they had afterwards, and he looked like a ran down.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was like the sign tale of the season that he had.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
they,
he's just a long season and off season for him.
and they lost They lost 3 offensive linemen in the offseason before the first game. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a big deal. So
Not
especially
helpful.
for a guy like Brady that likes to sit back there and throw it and doesn't have the mobility to move. So
Yeah. Well, let's get into the games this weekend. Saturday, like 3:30, I think. Is that right?
Yes.
Jaguars traveling to Kansas City. Chiefs are 8.5-point favorites at home. I know as soon as it came out, it really didn't matter what the spread was, unless it would have been like 3. I probably would have taken the Chiefs. But I'm taking the Jags. The Chiefs haven't covered shit all year. They're like the bottom three or 4 team against the spread. And I know a lot of times they have a large spread, but it doesn't matter. There's a guy at work the Chiefs, and I'm like, it doesn't matter if the spread's 7, they're going to win by 3. If the spread's 9, they'll win by 7. So I don't think the Jags can beat them. I know they played them tough. They played earlier this year. Yeah, they did. I don't know if the Lawrence makes any mistakes. If he's anything like he was last week in the beginning, and I hope he's not, because I want a good high scoring game. That's what was more fun. But Mahomes won't stop. He'll put up 70 if he has to. So I like the Jags. I like Mahomes throwing over 2.5 touchdowns. Lawrence over 1.5 touchdowns. Mahomes over 310.5 yards. Lawrence over 242.5. Christian Kirk over 62.5, and Evan Ingram over 44.5.
What, Abe?
yeah, I like the Jags also. I think the Chiefs win this game. I don't, a lot of times after, we don't see this as much as in professional football, but a lot of times when you watch sports, you see a team come off a very, very large win, and then they kind of tend to have a little bit of a letdown week the next week. You don't see it as much in the NFL. But I think that the Jaguars got a little, they've played 2 playoff games essentially in a row now, and Kansas City hasn't. So I think that helps the Jags, which is the reason why I think they cover the 8.5. But ultimately, I think the Chiefs win this game. I do like Trevor Lawrence to throw over 1.5 touchdowns. I like Kelsey over 6.5 receptions. I like him to score. He hasn't scored in since like week 10 or 11. I mean, we're talking 8-9 weeks. He hasn't scored a touchdown. That's not going to happen in the playoffs. He's going to be the guy where they're going to try to force feed him the ball. And at the same time, it's hard to pick against Mahomes and Andy Reid. I mean, in the playoffs, they're a tough team to play at home. They're really good at home. I think they also realize, like, hey, this could be our only home game of the playoffs. So I think that they come out and I think they play good, even though they had a week off. But I just think that, I think this game is probably a touchdown score difference. But ultimately, the Chiefs the Chiefs win this game. But I think the Jags cover. There should be some fireworks in this game, so I'm looking forward to this one.
Do you think Trevor goes to Waffle House after the game?
We'll see. Yeah, I think
Regardless of
so.
outcome?
Are
you surprised I didn't pick the Jags? That I'm not like all in on them because of that, Abe?
Because, well, I mean, as soon as I saw you pick Jags, that's what my first thing that popped in my head was because he went to Waffle House. So
he knows.
So, crazy fact, if I remember reading this correctly, Doug Peterson is 9-2 against the spread in the playoffs.
Wow.
Dogs are like super good in this divisional round, by the way.
Whatever the spread is against them.
Status now, but it's like big time.
Yeah. So, knowing that, Jags ended the game on a high. I think they carry this high into the game. They're going to make it interesting. I think out of all 4 games this weekend, this is probably one that, based off a money line, everybody's going to pick the Chiefs. Because I think all the other games you could go either way on who's going to win the game. But as far as spreads and stuff like that, like I said, I think the Jags carry their momentum into this game and make this a close and interesting game and everything, with the Chiefs being off for a week. Look, that's another thing. Andy Reid is always good after buys and everything against teams that they're coming. But this is a playoff game. Especially once they get divisional rounds, they're a lot more closer than what you typically see. Like a blowout like they did with the Cowboys last week in their game and everything. But I think Jags cover. I think all these games this week, foreshadowing already, is with all going to be within a field goal game and everything. So it kind of makes, for me, easier to make these picks against the spread. So, yeah, I am taking the Jags. I am taking Lawrence over 261.5 combined passing and rushing yards.
Yep.
Hey, let me throw one more thing about Kelsey. Gerald Everett ripped apart the Jaguars. I mean, he went for 6 and over 100, I think. I mean, so you got to think that Kelsey's going to kind of do just as much, if not more. So look at Kelsey's numbers. They're only going to go up going up to game time because a lot of people are going to be bringing that up. There's going to be announcers bringing it up. So if you want to get Kelsey at a cheaper number, I think your best time to book him is soon.
Hell yeah. Saturday night, Giants traveling to the Link. Eagles favored by 7.5 points at home. Coming off a bye. Abe, you know what? Go ahead.
Okay, so this was a tough one for me. I had the Giants originally on this and realized we'll talk about something later. But I had the Giants originally, and I just switched this about an hour ago. I guess it was 9:45 when I switched this. I switched it to the Eagles minus 7.5. I'm not sold on the Eagles. I think 7.5 is too much. I think what that is trying to do is entice people to bet the Giants. And the Giants coming off a win against Minnesota, I think you're going to find a lot of the money coming in on the Giants. So I'm picking the Eagles minus 7.5. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not confident in this. I just switched it for a reason that we'll discuss later, but there's some player props in this. I like Goddard over 4.5 receptions. I like Richie James over 4.5 receptions as well. I think he's caught at least 4 balls in 7 straight games. I think he's played a full game in. And the Eagles, their weakest point is their slot corner. So I like both those guys, and I like Hurts and Jones to combine for over 1.5 touchdowns thrown. I think that happens. I mean, I think this game gets up and down also. If the Eagles are the Eagles of, before Hurts got hurt, this game is going to be up and down. We'll see if the Eagles have a little bit of a slow start. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But ultimately, I don't know. I want to pick the Giants plus 7.5, but I have on paper Eagles minus 7.5, so that's what I'm going to stick with.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rich.
You make a very interesting statement there, Abe, because I was all in on Giants, but after hearing your conversation, it almost makes it now it questions me picking the Giants. I am picking the Giants, just like what you said. Seeing the way they played last week, they can make this a very close game. I picked the Eagles to win. I like I said, it's going to be within a field goal. Man. I almost want to change now, but I'm leaving as is.
Hey, we can switch because both of us kind of want to change back. So
no, I'm sticking with what I got and stuff like that. Giants cover. I think freaking Hurts is going to be a little rusty and everything. He didn't look the best last game. Maybe he's had time to let rest a little bit more. Even if something happens that Hurts, I still think Minshew comes in and helps them win the game. It'll make it a lot more closer than what it initially would have been. But, man, overall, Eagles defense is pretty solid. I mean, I know they've had their days and stuff like that, but overall they're a solid squad. But Giants are going to make it interesting with Barkley and Thunder and Lightning, like I always say. I am taking Jalen over 51.5 rushing yards.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you guys – hold on real quick, Nate. I don't know if you guys saw, but I saw some clips of Jalen at practice. And he'd roll out to the right, and he wasn't even throwing the ball. So I don't know if he's 100% healthy. So and maybe that's just them saying.
I thought I heard today that he was.
Throw it, but what's that?
I thought I heard today he was. I don't remember. Hey, I'm going go Giants. I forgot to wear my Victor Cruz jersey for Joe tonight. Damn it! But I like Giants. I like
Joe. He always says that every week.
I wore it for him one time. I don't know if I was on a show with him or what, but I had it on. He's seen it. It all depends on if they can do what they did last week, controlling the ball, playing giant football. If they need to keep dimes in the 6-back offense like they did, the Vikings couldn't handle the run with Jones. And I know the Eagles practiced against it, with Hurts, but I think you have a better chance like that. The front four of the Eagles is very, very good on the defense side of the ball. I think there's 4 guys with double-digit sacks. That makes you nervous. You got to get the ball out quick or get out of the pocket quick. So, like I said, I still like the Giants to cover. I like them to win. I mean, it'd be awesome. I don't think, it wouldn't be surprised. They lost by like 10 with Davis Webb at quarterback. So, we'll see what happens. But I like Dimes, of course, over 44.5 rushing yards because, always bet it. And I like Saquon over 98.5 combined. Get that guy involved. Give him the fucking football. It's playoff time. Don't wait.
Yeah, you were talking earlier about last week's game with the Giants. Man, you got Barkley, and look, I get you got Dan Jones and everything, but freaking, why are they using the other running back? It's like he's in there a lot more than what he should be.
Who, Breida?
Yeah, Breida.
Yeah, what the hell? I thought the exact same thing.
It's just I don't understand why Barkley is in there 90% of the snaps and stuff like that, especially now that you're in the playoffs and everything. Dude, go all out and get this one and stuff like that. I mean, is Barkley going to be back next year?
Well, that's what I mean. Maybe not. So use the hell out of him.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, I agree with you.
Has to be back. Him and Jones both. They got Jones needs to take a deal that's team friendly. He's not a $40 million a year guy, and he should know that. But he's a good quarterback, and he needs to be on the team.
I get that, but does Barkley demand a bigger contract than what he received last? And where, I mean, I know I wouldn't think that they would be drafting a running back in the first round, late in the first round and stuff like that. But there's some nice running backs coming out that you could get in the second or third round and start out fresh again with less money than re-signing Barkley to a contract that he's going to want,
They don't got anybody else to pay. But Richie James, what's he like, $48 a year? And nobody knows who that guy is. The receivers don't cost them anything.
Yeah, they're all getting league minimum.
Bring in Hopkins.
Well, we're all whatever. Bengals, Bills. This game, I don't know. I'm not going to bet on this game. I'll tell you right now. There's no chance I bet on this beforehand. I guess if the points moved more, neither one of these teams looked good last week. Like I said, they're both banged up. The Bengals offensive line is terrible, but I don't even know if the Bills defense is good. I thought it was, but they have a hard time getting to the quarterback. I know what you're doing, Joe. But I just, like I said, as bad as the Bengals offensive line is, the defensive line of the Bills isn't really that good. Joe Mixon doesn't run the ball apparently very often anymore. I don't get it, but I'm taking the Bengals with the points just because Joey Burrow is a stud. And if they're going to get some points, I mean, like Rich said earlier, field goal game probably. And if we're going to get 5.5 points, give me the Bengals. And I like Jimmy Cook over 52.5 combined yards. I've been doing that for like 3 weeks, and he keeps missing it. But he looks really good early in the game, like 2 or 3 plays, and they stop. So hopefully they don't do that this time, but probably. So, yeah. Abe.
Yeah, I think this – I mean, obviously this is going to be an emotional game from what happened a few weeks ago. And the Bengals, they tried solidifying their O-line all year and had the same O-line for the first 15 weeks of the season. And now they have 3 guys out this week. So that kind of makes me a little nervous. But when it goes back down to it, I mean, I'm a Burrow guy. The guy is he's a big time player in big time games. And I think the Bengals are a little pissed. The NFL, I think the NFL fucked the Bengals in multiple ways. And some people would say, well, that's wrong because of what happened, all that other shit. But if the Bengals would have won that game in Buffalo, this game would be in Cincinnati. And why are we not playing this game on a neutral site? I just, it's one of those things where I think the Bengals kind of overcome adversity from, having a banged up O-line, and you rely on your stud, and that's Joey Burrow, and you have weapons all over the place. I think the Bills win this game because they're better on paper. They're playing at home. But 5.5 points, in my opinion, was too much for me. And there's a good chance that the Bengals, are down 6 late in this game and you rely on Joey Burrow, and he comes down and either scores a touchdown or doesn't. So it's hard for me to bet against Burrow because in my opinion, nothing bothers him, nothing phases him. The turnovers for Josh Allen, it seems to be a week to week thing. If he can shore that up and not turn the ball over, I think the Bills cover this 5.5. I don't know if he can do that. I don't know if the Bills can go to a running game. Last week I thought it was going to be kind of a Devin Singletary game. It turned out to be neither running back. I mean, Cook ran the ball better, but then he didn't get a catch. That's why they brought him in, is to catch the ball in the backfield. And then he didn't even get a target. So with that being said, one of my player props is that Cook, gets over 8.5 receiving yards this week. Because I think he does have to get the ball in space. I do like Allen and Burrow to combine for more than 3.5 touchdowns. And I like the Bengals over 2.5 touchdowns. I like the Bengals over 21.5 points. A lot of people think that this game is going to be a little bit tighter. It's going to be, not a high scoring game, even though we have two high octane offenses. But at the same time, I think that these offenses are just, they're too good. They can get the ball up and down the field. And they do throw the ball. So I'm going to take the Bengals plus 5.5. I'm not completely confident in that because, like I said, I would not be surprised if the Bills are up not big, but up a touchdown late in the game, and it's the ball's in Burrow's hands, and whether he comes down and scores and wins. But this should be the fun game of the weekend. This is what I'm looking forward to most.
Yeah. I think what decides this game, and you kind of hit it on the nail, is the fact that it's being played in the Bill at the Bills having the home field advantage and everything. I think just like what you said, if it went the other way and it was at the Bengals, I think we all be picking the Bengals to outright win whatever the situation is. I think that's what it comes down to. I think the Bengals they have 3 offensive starting linemen that might not play this game.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a deciding factor throughout the whole game and everything. The defense, Bill's defense, I mean, they come up in big spots and everything. And I think Edmonds has a big game as far as defensive wise. I could even see Poyer, if he's back, him having a decent game and everything. Maybe even getting that.
Might be his last game in Buffalo.
Yeah. So I think because of being at the Bills. I'm taking the Bengals to cover and stuff like that because, like I said, all games this week is going to come down to a field goal. That's kind of, I don't know if you want to say one of my long shots of the week and everything, that all games are covered by it was within a field goal, ended on a field goal. But I do like Allen over 45.5 rushing yards. I think that's easy for him to get, and a little insight to a little strategy that I'm doing for Toilets Titles playoffs. You got 4 weeks, right? So there's certain positions that you got to utilize the right way. Quarterback is one of those positions. Give me the 4 quarterbacks that you're going to start throughout the whole playoff run.
I'm not giving you my secrets.
I will give mine and stuff like that.
I'll tell you who I'm starting this weekend.
I played Allen last week. I'm playing Burrow this week. I'm playing Mahomes next week. All AFC quarterbacks. That way, when it comes to the final week, I have my choice of litter to pick from the NFC. Well, this way, I'm utilizing all 3 QBs that should score high points. So, I think Burrow does enough because of the situation, them playing against the Bengals. To me, I know people are thinking low scoring game and stuff like that because of emotions and everything. But to me, this is going to be a shootout and everything, and I want to be every part of it. Bills cover it because it's at home, but it ends with a field goal. Miss or hit for Buffalo.
Yeah. I kind of, cornered myself into the AFC deal like you said, but I'm fine with that. I mean,
that's good strategy.
Yeah. So, I mean, it'd be kind of shitty when we have Brock Purdy for the Super Bowl and they throw the ball 12 times, but hey,
But at least you have a quarterback in the
Yeah, you gotta get in the dance to play. So
I'll take Daniel Jones, Jalen Hurts, or Brock Purdy, whichever 3 are in that, because it's going to be one of those 3.
Not Dak, huh?
Yeah, I think they win this week and everything, but I don't think they make it past the 49ers or the Eagles. I don't think they make it past the Eagles if they do play each other.
Speaking of it, Cowboys, Niners. Niners third by 4 points at home. I'm by myself. I'll take 49ers. I don't know. I just don't trust the Cowboys. I haven't. They looked good last week, obviously, against the beat up 7-8 or 8-9, whatever the hell the record was, Bucks team. The way that the 49ers have played, there's so many weapons, and they can run the ball, and the Cowboys can't stop the run. So, I know Brock Purdy, this, that, and the other. To be honest, I don't think he cares, that it's playoffs. Like, he just is what it is. Like, we're going to keep playing. He started like 45 games or some shit in college. It's not like he hadn't played, I heard it today on a podcast, and I couldn't agree more. I don't think Trey Lance is good. I think his time has come to an end. And they're like, well, how do you know he's better than Brock Purdy? Well, it's pretty obvious. I know Trey Lance hadn't played 10 games, but he's started a few preseason games, started the game against the Bears. He does not look as good as Brock Purdy does. I don't care if you think it's because the time he has or not. I always say when a guy shows you who he is, believe it. So we'll see if Trey Lance goes to the Titans or not, with the GM leaving or going new GM there. He was one of the guys that wanted Trey Lance. So we'll see what happens. But I like the Niners. I like Nick Bosa over 3.5 tackles and assists, whatever. And then Fred Warner over 7.5 tackles and assists. And then Dutch Schultz over 41.5 yards. Had a big week last week. I see that continuing because the Cowboys don't like to use their weapons besides the tight end and Noah Brown or Cedric Wilson. He's gone now, but that was his guy last year. So, that's where I'm at by myself. I think it's like I guess there's a few games we were also different, but I don't know. I like Niners here.
I think this game, and there was another game. There's only one that we're all different on.
Yeah,
and Abe was leading into that.
Yeah, I'm going with the Cowboys here. +4. You just kind of look at this wild card matchup from last year, when Dak kind of put that ball down. They ran out of time. It's just one of those games that I think is within a field goal, like what Rich said. I don't know which quarterback has the advantage here, but I think that this game is within 4 points either way. I don't know who wins this game. I kind of have a feeling, Dallas is playing like, kind of a we don't care attitude. Like, hey, we weren't supposed to win against Brady. He's never, he's 7-0 against us. Last year we got beat at home against the 49ers in the wild card game. 49ers are picked by a lot of people to go to the Super Bowl. I just think that Dallas comes in with like a don't care attitude. Like, hey, we don't have a lot to lose for once, because usually Dallas has a lot to lose. A lot of people think like, hey, once Dallas wins a game, everyone thinks like they're Super Bowl champions. And this year it's almost like, hey, Dallas won. They beat an 8-9 team. They beat Brady, but they have no chance against San Francisco. And I think they have a chance. If Dak plays like he did last week, it's one of those games that maybe this game's a little bit too big for Purdy. Like if he starts out as, a little bit slow, that can mess with the psyche for someone, and it can mess with Dak also. But we saw Dak bounce back from a really shitty game, and then he played awesome last week. So I don't know. I think it's within a field goal game. That's why I'm taking the Cowboys +4. I do have some props in this game. I like Dak and Purdy to combine for over 3.5 touchdowns thrown. That's plus money. And I like another kind of combination is CMC and CeeDee Lamb to combine over 1.5 touchdowns. That's plus money. I like Debo over 14.5 rushing yards. He got that on the second play of last week's game, and Dallas is not good against the run. So I think they're going to utilize Debo as much as possible. So I really like Debo over 14.5 rushing yards, and I like CD over 78.5. There's one matchup that Dallas can take advantage of in the passing game, and that's CD against his defender, and I can't think of his name now. But I like CD to have a bigger game this week. So those are my player props I like. I just think Dallas could win this game. I mean, this is not I wouldn't be shocked if Dallas won. Last year's game, like I said, that wild card game last year in Dallas was really close. And I think that this one's going to be a close one also. So I'm taking the Cowboys +4.
Yeah, I'm taking the Cowboys +4 too. Man, Parsons did not look his best last week. got dinged up at the end of the half of the second half of the game. And even after the game in the press conference, man, he just didn't look right. I mean, even the way just the way he felt. I don't know if it's just the long season for him and everything, but I Brock Purdy hasn't. Let me put it this way: Brock Purdy in the games he has played against not the best defenses in all his games and everything.
Right.
And I think he had one game where he did play a good defense, and they only scored 12 points that game. This defense, Dallas is opportunity and plays well. They got a good, solid squad. I mean, they're going to play better than a lot of the teams that they played so far with Purdy. So I think this is one of the things too where playoffs. I know he had a good game last week, but maybe this is the game that he comes back down to earth, and it gives everybody to start talking about Trey Lance next year. Well, maybe Trey Lance is the quarterback we need and stuff like that. I can see this being the game that does that. I like the 49ers to win, but man, Cowboys could easily pull this one out and everything. And this is one of those games for our T2T playoffs is you don't know what players are using this and stuff like that because either one of these teams could be out. I'm not picking a lot of the Cowboys fans, players and stuff like that, but I might lose out on a lot of points if I don't utilize them this week and they do lose. But on the same token, CMC, man, he's been a difference maker for this team besides the defense. When it comes to the defense for the 49ers, CMC is what's making this offensive role right now with his ability to run the ball and catch the ball out of the backfield. He's a difference maker for this team and stuff like that. And with Elijah Mitchell coming back, they could utilize him. I like Elijah Mitchell in this game. I like his player props that they have. I didn't list any of them, but he has some good player props that you go out there and jump on. And I think it's an easy hit for him and everything. But the player prop I am going to jump on is CMC over 106.5 combined yardage.
I like that. And by the way, the reason I picked that Nick Bosa one, if he's one-on-one with Tyler Smith, great year as a rookie kid, appreciate what you done. Not happening. So we'll see what old Kellen Don Shula Moore does, but I don't know.
Yeah, I bet he's going to knock down probably 3 passes. I mean, if Brock throws that way, he's knocking down some passes. There's no doubt about that.
So long shots. I got 2 because, why wouldn't you? Jags plus 8.5, Giants money line, Bengals plus 5.5, Cowboys money line. Like we were all saying there, that game is very close for me. It's hard to pick one or the other, but I'd like for this bet because it makes the odds longer. 38-1. So, one of these it has to hit. We're running out of time. And I can't just like shorten the odds up to make it easier because that's what's fun in that. So the other one that I feel a little better about, ETN, Barkley, Dawson Knox, and George Kittle all scores 22-1. Obviously shortened a little bit, but that one doesn't seem like too awfully long. So Abe.
Yeah, I have 3 long shot bets this week.
I had something.
My first one is that Hurts and Danny Dimes both score a touchdown, rushing or receiving. If you parlay same game parlay that, it's plus 475. Both those guys obviously run the ball a lot. They both sneak the ball in at the 1 quite a bit. So I like that bet a little bit. I'll sprinkle a little bit of money on that. Another one is kind of a prop for the weekend, and it's every team to make a field goal and score a touchdown is 6-1. If you're trying to tell me that these teams can't score 10 points, the prop for everyone to score a touchdown was like minus 190. So,
well, you know why it's plus 600 for the field goal, right?
Well, yeah, because of Maher, yeah, yeah, of course. I definitely that was the deciding factor as to why I put this in the long shot bets because of Maher has to make a field goal. But so that's at 6-1, and then I got a touchdown player prop: Kelsey, Richie James, Josh Allen, and CMC to score is 28-1. So I think Kelsey scores for sure. Richie James has a good matchup, and the Giants are going to need to score. CMC scores quite a bit. So these are some, and Josh Allen, he could run one on either also. So those are my 3 long shot bets of the week. And with that, I'm gonna go give myself a long shot.
Hey, real quick, I meant to say this earlier and I forgot. Talking about the Cowboys game with the kicker, that you guys saw they've added that kid to their practice squad, right? To have a second kicker.
Yeah.
They have to dress him, right? Like they have to bring him to San Francisco.
They have to.
There's no chance that they put him on the practice squad and he just doesn't go with. Because what happens if it's the like opening drive and they stall out and Maher misses a 35-yard field goal?
They said he will be active.
Oh, he is. So yeah, like I said, I didn't know if he was or not. Like, I mean, or he missed an extra point. There's no chance. I was just curious if he was going to be active or not. I mean, you can't be like, all right, hey, you'll get the next one, even though you fucking missed 4 in a row or whatever it was last week. Like, you got the next one, pal. But
yeah, I don't think there was any doubt that he wouldn't be active, especially after last week's game and them actually signing him to the practice squad. You knew they were going to bring him to this game to be ready, just in case.
Rich and I've watched Abe and I've watched a kicker miss 5 field goals in one game and then hit a game winner, and it is the most heart-wrenching thing I've ever watched. Remember that against Bengals last year with Mason Crosby, Abe? And Evan McPherson was missing him too. Yep. Oh my God.
Oh, I remember that game. My long shots of the week. I really don't have. I'm just kind of throwing some few things out there. So I'm taking the dog in all games. All dogs are going to cover the spread, is what I'm saying.
Dogs are barking, Rich.
So yeah. So and then I was discussing this beforehand. I'm taking the Eagles, Chiefs, 49ers, Bills, a running back from each team to score a rushing TD. And then Nate says, well, you have to pick a player and stuff like that. So I'm going to go that route. I'm going to do it live on the fly. For the Eagles, Boston Scott will score a rushing touchdown.
Oh, yeah, he will. He scored I think he scored 11 touchdowns and 9 of them are against the Giants.
Pacheco will score for the Chiefs.
Oh, shit.
Elijah Mitchell will score for the 49ers. And Naheem Hines will be the running back that scores for the Colts.
Hold on. Say those again. So, Boston
Pacheco,
Scott.
Boston Scott.
Yep.
Elijah Mitchell.
Plus 370 for him. Who's your one for the Bills Bengals?
Hines.
Oh.
Holy shit. He's plus 850. Hope it hits. This fucker's going to be real long.
Yeah, this one's going to be really long. And then who for Cowboys Niners?
No, I'm talking about I just picked 4. I just picked 4 out of those 4 teams.
4?
I picked Boston Scott from the Eagles. Like I said, Pacheco from the Chiefs, Mitchell from the 49ers, and
Mitchell.
373 to 1. $1 will win you $374.
So what you're telling me, Joe, is that's not a long shot.
Woo! Yeah, see, Joe knows. Boston Scott tears the Giants up. I like scoring the shit. He scores the shit out of touchdowns against the Giants. Hell yeah! I forgot.
Hey, that's worth throwing a few bucks on.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? I mean,
that's why they're long shots, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So cheers to long shots.
Oh yeah. Well, with that, it's time to go make some money on the divisional round. Have fun. Hit us up in DMs. You got any questions? We're happy to help. Let us know if you're winning with us or losing with us. So good luck to everybody out there. We don't have any dogs in the fight, so we just cheer for everybody now, right?
Correct.
You guys got anything else before we get out of here?
Not close it out for us.
See y'all next week. Well, I won't. I'll be on vacation with the family, so these guys will handle the duties. So have fun. We'll see you before the championship games, and keep staying positive and testing negative.